All right, everybody, we are here. It's Module 2 of the 13-week group wellness journey. And so what we're going to be talking about this week, I kind of switched things up a little bit. I was in the outline, it says we were going to talk about clearing away emotional baggage. We're going to do that next week. I think that this week it's really important to actually talk a little bit more in detail about developing a mindfulness practice and developing, a meditative practice. And so just, you guys can type in the chat, how many of you already are doing mindfulness? How many of you already have a meditation practice? And if you want to share a little bit about your meditation practice or your mindfulness, if you're already doing it, feel free to type that in the chat as well. But yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more about that and the benefits and the reason why it's really important for this process to really develop that and have some deliberate reasons why you're doing it. So the first thing is about being mindful. Having a meditation practice is literally, it's going to bring you to a state that's known as alpha. And of course, we can go into other states beyond alpha. But alpha is a brainwave pattern that is literally the first state of consciousness that really helps us to be in a relaxed and alert state of being. And it has to do with nervous system function. It has to do, of course, with brain function. And our nervous system functions in a very specific way. We'll get more into that in a few minutes. So first of all, what is alpha? So I'm sure you guys all know what I mean when I say alpha. And alpha waves are a certain frequency of energy in hertz from 8 to 12 hertz. And so you can actually go and have brain scans done, and they can monitor the activity of your brain, and they'll find that when you're in a state of alpha that you're going to have brain patterns that are from 8 to 12 hertz. These are energetic frequencies that are present when your brain is in an idling default state, and they're typically created when you're daydreaming or consciously practicing mindfulness or meditation. And there are many ways to deliberately achieve this state of mind. Okay, so we have somebody's got some comments there. So Lynn says her meditation practice is going on 5 years and started with Joe Dispenza, okay, in Headspace. All right, yeah, love it. So much less anxious and calm. I focus a lot better and actually am completely addicted to it. At first it was really hard, but if you stick with it, it's so worth it. So yeah, totally. There's a lot of programs out there, a lot of different ways to kind of get into developing a mindfulness practice or meditation practice, and I'm going to share just a few links with you guys as well. For me, developing meditation and mindfulness, just like everything I do, because I've had to be super creative with figuring out my own stuff. Simply by virtue of the fact that I really just I couldn't afford to buy all the different programs and things I wanted to do. So it was really for me, more of a trial and error and just jumping in and figuring it out on my own. But I just remember, when I first started, really deciding that I wanted to be, to start meditating, I wasn't really even sure I was doing it right. And it was hard, and it was like, well, I'm not sure what the benefits of this is. There was just something in me that felt like I needed to do it. I remember, sometimes like sitting on the front porch of my house and just like gazing at the flowers and thinking, okay, maybe this is meditation. I'm just going to look at the flowers and just contemplate their beauty, I remember maybe being in a hot tub when we lived in an apartment and just sitting in the hot water and watching the heat rise off the water and going, I could meditate right here and just, focus in. I was, like I said, I was making it up as I went along. And now in retrospect, I realized that I really was benefiting myself by doing that. But at the time, I was like, I don't know if this is doing anything for me. And of course, it was very brief periods of time, maybe 2, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, where I was able to sit there and really have that, sort of clearer mind and just be in the moment doing that kind of thing. So I personally have never really developed a meditation process where I'm just sitting still in that state of alpha or theta or delta, wherever you are in your brainwave patterns at that point, where I'm just sitting. That's something that I aspire to. So what I typically do is I have things that things that assist me to be in that place. And now, after several years of doing mindfulness techniques for myself, I do gain a benefit, and I do feel the benefit of it immediately while I'm doing it. So I'll go into more details about that, and that's some of the things that I'm sure I've probably already shared with you guys about that. But nevertheless, going on, so we know that alpha is a state that our brains get into in a brain pattern. And mindfulness, the dictionary definition of mindfulness is either the quality or state of being conscious or aware of something. So, or it's a mental state achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment, while calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations, and it's used as a therapeutic technique. And so this is inside the group portal, the 13-week group wellness journey portal. So you guys can access this. I do have a link here about what mindfulness is from mindful.org, and they have some pretty cool stuff on their website. So, I have no affiliation with them. I just found that article very interesting. So you can click on that link on your own, and you can read that article. And so when we talk about mindfulness, we're really just talking about paying attention to what's happening in the present moment, noticing what you notice, hearing the sounds that are in your space, smelling the smells, seeing what you see, and maybe even tuning yourself internally, noticing what's happening in your body, feeling the sensations in your body, noticing your breath, and deliberately kind of bringing yourself just into the moment. And as I began to do this practice for myself, what I began to realize is that really this present moment is the only one there is. And I think that having that deliberate awareness is really what begins to become so powerful about mindfulness, is that there really isn't any other moment to do anything. There's no other moment to choose a thought or a feeling. There's no other moment to act. It's only right now. And the infinite potential in this moment is literally that. I remember listening to an Abraham Hicks video one time, and she was talking about how in any given moment we think that, sometimes we think we have no choices except to do what we're about to do, or we maybe feel like we have limited choices. But the reality is that there are probably 200 different choices that you can make in any given moment, maybe even more. I mean, I think it's infinite, but the ones that are, as close to you that, sort of resonate in your vibration that you're currently at, there's hundreds of different things that can happen. And part of this whole process, this whole 13-week group process, is that we're learning how to access this deliberate realization of, I get to choose right here, right now. I'm creating this right here, right now, and I get to choose it. And so, and what I'm choosing isn't necessarily the circumstance. It's not necessarily the circumstance, but what I get to choose is how I feel about the circumstance. I get to choose what I think about the circumstance. And I get to say that, this for me is good, or this for me is bad. And for me, it's always of benefit to choose that, I'm going to reach for something that feels better. So that is sort of the basis of, mindfulness, and the mindfulness practice is really tuning into the infinite potential in the present moment. And So then we also were talking about meditation and contemplation, right? And so again, we can develop these meditation practices where we're really sitting still, we're very, calm, collected, quiet, we're lost in that space of, sort of 0 point where there's everything and nothing, and we've tuned everything else out. Our thoughts are still. And sometimes we can sit in that place for, lengthy periods of time, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, 90 minutes. And so that's more of meditation. And then we also have contemplation. And what's the difference between meditation and contemplation? And I think they're equally powerful. I think they're both tools that are of benefit to you guys to use. And me personally, I kind of prefer contemplation. Like I said, I'm still working on developing that meditation practice myself. Although I have done 90 minutes of meditation with, music and things like that, which makes it for me easier. But anyway, the contemplation versus meditation. So contemplation is the practice of simply holding something in mind within your awareness for some time, allowing various truths or realizations to reveal themselves on their own accord. So it's like that, those moments, of course, we've all experienced this. I know you guys have experienced this, where you're just washing the dishes and suddenly you have an awareness about something that you've been kind of, it's been kind of percolating in the back of your mind. You have an answer that comes to you. Maybe you're drifting off to sleep and the answer just kind of pops into your mind, or you're driving. So those are contemplative states, right? The main benefit of contemplation is that you can practice at any time, anywhere, and carry on your daily business without interruption. What contemplation is not intellectualization. It's not trying to work out a thought. It's not trying to work through your ideas. It's using the workings of your mind to follow your ideas. Okay, so it's not using the workings of your mind to follow ideas into more ideas, right? So there's a very clear distinction there. That I've always been the type of person who really thought that I needed to figure things out and needed to, mentally work through thoughts and plans and ideas. And I think a lot of us are really good at that. You guys are probably pretty good at that too, where you think, you come up with a plan, and then you got to come up with all the details about how to create that plan. That doesn't really work that well for me. Maybe you guys can share in the comments if that works for you. But really, mentally trying to put things together, I come up with a nice plan. I have notebooks. If you guys could see my bookshelf here, there's all these notebooks and all these things that I've always, done over the years of like writing out all of my ideas and my plans, and none of those things really come to fruition. I'm allowing myself now to be organically guided to the things that I'm supposed to do, because that's what actually works. So contemplation isn't that process of really figuring things out, okay? And we actually don't really need to do that. We'll learn more about that as we go through this process. So intellectualism uses reason and logic as tools to come up with a conclusion, whereas contemplation does not use reason or logic and simply uses space, time, and attention for its conclusions to be revealed. Meditation in the formal sense involves sitting down in a still, silent state, usually utilizing concentration on a singular point and other observation techniques. Okay, so here again is a link to more information on that article. And so you guys can check that out if you want more details on that. So why practice mindfulness? There's, again, a specific reason why I want to share this information with you, because during this program, this is going to kind of be the second level of the underpinning of foundation, right? So first, last week, we talked about the energy, healing the energy, and the shortcuts to healing your energy, the nests, the infoceuticals that are bringing those frequencies that your body field needs to be informed, to, for your body to function, and also to, it actually really does help to clear out emotional, mental baggage as well. And then we talked about, developing your qi using that Qigong practice. So those are going to be things foundationally that are going to really help your energy to cultivate the corrected energy in your body field. This is another foundational underpinning that is going to keep you in the physical state for your physical body, for your nervous system, to allow these changes to really kind of become integrated into your body and into your being. And it's pretty magical. It's pretty magical, actually, when you really dive into this mindfulness. And I know again that a lot of you have already experienced some of these things, so I don't want to be redundant in telling you things that you already know. So you can still, feel free to, comment also about the things that you've already experienced, because I'd like to, sort of get your take on all of that as well. But of course, there are scientific and physiological reasons that I just mentioned, right? So your brain waves are an energy pattern that are produced by your body when it's in a healthy state of homeostasis or balance. Now, when we are stressed, when we are, sort of hectic and frantic and life is crazy, the brain doesn't produce even brain patterns. So it is, it's like, opposites of, sides of two opposite sides of the coin, right? On one side, you have this kind of chaotic, frantic, energy in your brain that's, sort of a reflection of what you're, experiencing in your world. And on the other side, you have this nice, even, balanced pattern that begins to actually reflect what you're experiencing in your world as well, right? These are energy patterns, and they can be duplicated through sound and given to the body, and over time, an unbalanced or distorted pattern can be made harmonious again. I'm going to share with you some tools for that. With practice, this can be the new set point for the brain and the body, making this powerful energy healing tool a simple way to overcome the stresses of life that cause imbalances. With practice, eventually your ability to shift from a stressed, fatigued, depressed, or pained state to a peaceful and mindful state can occur in minutes instead of hours or days. I have a friend who is in chronic pain. She was in a car accident a long time ago, and just every day she's in chronic pain. And so, of course, she's working with her doctors and things like that. But over the last few years since I've known her and have interacted with her on this level with energy healing tools and things like that, I know that she has developed a meditation practice, and she can sit in meditation for hours and just totally shift herself out of that state of feeling the pain in her body. The pain is still there. But it's a very cool way that she has developed to manage the pain that she's experiencing. And interestingly enough, she has had some pretty cool experiences in that in those meditative states that she has shared with me. So, meditation and mindfulness and contemplation are just very powerful. So you already know that. So from a physical standpoint, the brain, nervous system, hormones, homeostasis of the body. This is an excerpt that I took from WebMD. The relaxation response is a technique designed to elicit the opposite bodily reaction from the fight or flight response, right? So we know that the nervous system has two states. We can be parasympathetic or we can be in sympathetic, and I always forget which one is which. But the fight or flight mode is where energy is channeled to our extremities. All of our systems shut down in the core of our being, so that the body can be responding to move and do things that it needs to do rapidly, right? This is a natural response that happens that we're conditioned to, not even conditioned, it's intrinsic to being a human being, from, our ancestry, back in the day when person needed to get away from something dangerous, right? And so your body would naturally just snap into this state. You'd have that instant response. You'd be able to fight or run. And then once you got away from danger, your body would go back into this relaxed. And so it's the rest and digest state, which is the opposite of the fight or flight, right? So everything turns back on in the center of your being. Your digestion works, your ability to create those hormones that create rest in the body. All of that stuff starts to happen normally again, and then you're back to a healthy state. Of course, in our culture today, it's difficult to get out of the fight or flight mode sometimes because of all the stress that we're under. So we go about our day, you get stuck in traffic, you have a difficult conversation with your boss or your spouse or a loved one, and that fight or flight is triggered all day long. And, we get to a point where sometimes we can't even get out of it because we're so overwhelmed with all of this stuff. So the meditation is, a mindfulness practice is really about retraining the body to achieve that state of relaxation and leading us to enhanced moods, lower blood pressure, improved digestion, and reduction of everyday stress. So that's physically what we're doing. From a spiritual and personal growth standpoint, and again, I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this. My experiences personally have been pretty profound. Meditation and mindfulness practices can be a very powerful way to achieve greater states of self-awareness, self-love, and to begin to attract more preferred experiences into your life. You literally are changing your vibration, changing your frequency, raising your vibration so that you begin to attract, through the art of allowing, which is, the terminology for law of attraction, the art of attracting what we prefer deliberately. This can occur much more rapidly and deliberately from a state of inner well-being and knowing that all is well. So I think I might have shared this story with you guys already. I don't know for sure. You can let me know if I did. But, there was a moment when I realized that I really could connect in with, my higher consciousness, higher energy, higher frequency, non-physical energy of, connecting with what I now would consider to be my healer, infinite love, by allowing myself to really be in a state of relaxed, loving. That's about it. Relaxed and loving. And to deliberately choose to say, okay, I'm going to do this breathing technique, or I'm going to, do this mindfulness practice and get myself there, then there were just so many things that came into my awareness that I was able to connect in with, and it's been pretty profound for me since then. So, literally having conversations with that aspect of myself, my healer, and writing down things that she says, and, asking her questions and getting answers. I mean, it's a really, really amazing, very cool thing to experience. And I know, again, you guys are probably experiencing that as well. So we will go on. So the well work for this exercise is to take time each day to notice and observe your thoughts. Are they mostly positive or negative? And you're going to record your observations in your journal or whatever method you're using to record. Each remaining day of the 13-week program, the activity is to strive to spend 5 to 15 minutes or longer, if you can, in mindfulness, meditation, or contemplation of some kind. Now, you can let me know in the comments if you are already really, kind of engaged in a mindfulness practice, or if this is something that you're really working at. What I don't want this program to be is something that is difficult, and that I know sometimes people will start to feel like they're failing or they're not doing it right because they can't do it every day, or they skip a day and they feel bad, or they skip a week and they feel bad. That's not what my intention for this. So it's really about, at this stage, we're the second week into it, it's really about just absorbing the information, letting yourself kind of have an awareness that this is something that will be beneficial, and then beginning to adopt and implement, and what's the other word? I can't think of the word right now, but more or less of embodying just sort of a new way of being, right? And the act of making those deliberate choices every day is going to help you by rewriting those neural pathways in your brain that are going to get you into a new habit. So don't worry about it if doing it every single day is hard for you at first. That's normal and it's natural, and you don't lose any points or anything if you can't do it every day. But with that said, the objective is to strive to spend 5 to 15 minutes a day in some sort of meditation or contemplation. Now, you guys know that we are in the middle of the Simple 7-Day Self-Love Challenge. Today was day 5, so there's 2 more days of that. And so if that's been helpful to you, by all means, continue to do that. If you would like to start that challenge over on your own, there's a link here. And I don't have it live yet at this link, but you can access it, by putting your email address in there and use the coupon code LOVE to get it for free. When it is ready, I'm going to put all of the videos and everything that I've already done for this week and the well work in there, and then people can access that later, on down the line, and there'll be a little small fee for that. But for you guys, it's free. So if that's something that you want to do, I encourage you to do that. I think that it is a really good way to begin to implement a mindfulness practice on something that is really powerful. Self-love is one of the more powerful things that you can meditate or contemplate on, right? All right. So techniques for daily practice. This is going to give you some additional information. There's some links here. So you're going to find a simple guide to meditation with instructions. And we're going to talk more about developing daily practices in a future module. But for now, just be willing to allow yourself to set the intention to become mindful and or meditate. So this was a guide that I found that I thought was a really good one. So you can click on that and it'll take you to that guide. What I mentioned earlier about using music, this is how I developed my meditation practice, and this still works for me today. Knowing that I can listen to tones, there are tones called binaural beats, where they put one tone in one ear, a different tone in the other ear, and it actually entrains your brain to move into that alpha state. You can do delta or theta, which are deeper states of relaxation, I guess, almost into sleep. Delta's in sleep. And so this is a YouTube channel that I like to listen to. It's got some good videos on there. And some of them are like 90 minutes long, and so when you develop that, or when you get to a point where you can sit for 90 minutes, those were really helpful for me to get to that point, and I've definitely had some very great meditation time in doing it that way. Solfeggio music is another type of music that you can listen to. Solfeggios are specific frequencies of sound that are said to have healing benefits to the body, to the mind, and to the spirit. And so listening to solfeggio music during your meditation is another helpful tool for developing your practice. So this is another YouTube channel that I like that has solfeggio music. Also, I shared in this module, you'll see over here, that there's some information over here about the Solfeggio Scale and what all the different frequencies mean for your body. So that's just some interesting information that I shared with you guys there, so you can read up on that. And then guided meditation. And throughout this program, I'm going to be sharing guided meditations with you that will deepen your healing experience. You may listen to the meditations at any time you're relaxing, or even at bedtime or while sleeping. You can actually get a benefit from it subconsciously while you're sleeping. I invite you to record meditations in your own voice if you want, and that will help to amplify the benefits. And you may also choose to learn to write a guided meditation in your own words. And so we're going to cover this in a future module. Actually, I'm going to share something else about that with you here in a minute. So this is a guided meditation that I already created. You guys can go and get that one and download it. Also, you can find on my website there is a guided meditation that I shared on the website. I should put a link to that one here too. I will put a link to that one here tonight. You'll be able to access it by tomorrow. Okay, so let me just make a note to myself to do that. Okay. And so then there's also some suggested infoceuticals that will aid your mindfulness practice. And these are specific ones that will help you because they are designed to help to regulate your nervous system. So day and night infoceuticals, they also help to rebalance and reset your circadian rhythms. The ED4 nerve driver is designed to help with that, creating the brain pattern of alpha that will basically balance brain patterns. Chill and emotional stress release. Those are going to be ones that also help with clearing emotional energies and helping you with those in that way. So these, if you wanted to, these would be considered feel-good infoceuticals. They might not necessarily come up in your scan, but they would be ones that you could use anyway. And so if you want to try any of those, let me know. All right. So are there any questions so far? Any questions, any comments, anything that you guys want to share about what I've talked about today? I'll give you guys a minute to contemplate that. And then, so what I thought about as I got to the end of, redoing this and putting all this information together was to add a bonus for you guys. And the bonus is to create your own guided meditation in a very, short, workshop that we could do in a really, like couple hours. And this will add another level of effectiveness to your guided meditations. I would love to share how to do this with you. But I would rather ask you if this is something that you would like to do. So based on your responses, we can do a short workshop to learn how to do this and to record and to create them and record them in your own voice. So you can click on the link here that will take you to another course where you can actually just put your email address in there, and as the email addresses come in, I will know who's interested and who's not. And that way, I can create that workshop for you guys if that's something that you would like to do. I think it would be really powerful. I have some really cool things that I've learned about creating guided meditations, and so yeah, I think I would love to share that with you guys. So you can let me know if that's something that you like. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen now. And come back to this guy. That's weird. I'm not sure why that's showing me that. I don't know if you guys can see me or not. I'm going to go ahead and stop the